Namaste. Today we are going to make our custom socks using the long circular needles. Mine are quite short, they're 16 inches, but I would recommend around 24 inches of cord. And I'm using my Addy lace today. Again, we will need certain measurements. So if this is your foot, you would need a measurement around the ball of the foot. For me, it is 8.5 inches. For the length of your foot, you will need your measurement minus 9 inches. Again, another measurement you will need is from your longest toe to where the toe ends. So the length of the toes, for me it is 2 inches. And then the length of the heel, so here you will have your ankle bone and you will measure straight down from there, and that will be the length of your heel that we will subtract from the total foot length. And then however long you want your socks to be. For me, I have decided on a 7-inch long socks, and then at that point you will need the circumference of your leg, and mine is 10.75 inches. So first go ahead and take those measurements, and then we will do some calculations. So we will need, when we make the socks, we will need 2 inches less on the foot length for the toe and the heel. So 2 inches here and 2 inches here. So out of my 9 inches, my total straight foot length would be 5 inches, because 2 inches I'll give for the heel and 2 inches I'll give for the toe. So let's go ahead and cast on. So let's begin the cast on. What we need to do is put our needles together like this, the points towards the left. I'm going to be pulling my yarn from the skein from the center. So I'll just move it out of the frame so we can see properly. And you'll need some stitch markers and a progress keeper. Alright, so we need at least 6 inches of tail, and we'll put it like this. What we need to do is pick up this loop and put it on the back needle like that. Then we are going to cross this, like that. So I put my yarn like this with the tail behind, right? Now hold it together, and you can use your thumb to hold it, and so I'll not cross it, I'll just start like that. And I'm going to do Judy's magic cast on. So I'll put my thumb and my index finger through these two strands and hold them like that, and then turn my hand like this. And what I need to do is now cast on 6 stitches on the back, 6 stitches on the front. So my first loop here will be my first stitch on the back. Now for the front, I'll take the strand from the back, from the index finger, and put it from front to back on the first needle. So now I have 1 stitch each on my needles. Then I'll take the yarn from the front and put it from the front to the back on the second needle, that is the back needle. Repeat these steps till you have all your stitches, that is 6 on the front and 6 on the back. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the front and 4 in the oh, 5 in the back and 4 in the front. So next one is 5th in the front, 6th in the back. 1 2 3 4. No, okay, I'm doing it again because one of the loops came off. So 5 each now. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. Back and what's going on? Oh yeah, so I need to use this. That's why it wasn't looping. 5 6 and 6. So now my needles are like that. I'll turn them 180 degrees, hold my two ends together, cross them, hold the short end with my other fingers, pull this bottom needle and start knitting. 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. And now turn this 180 degree again, pull this first top needle inside to the stitches, pull the short needle, the bottom needle out, and then the top needle will go in easily, still holding the short end with my other hand. And I'm going to start knitting on this side. So 1 2 3 4 5, and it seems I have made a mistake here, so I'm going to knit these two together. This is my 5 and then 6. So this is what we'll have. Again, turn the needle 180 degree, pull the top needle in, pull the bottom needle out, and now we have to start our increases. So we'll need to increase 1 inch, 1 stitch inside from the open end and 1 stitch before the last of that needle, and this is how we're going to do it. So knit the first stitch, be sure not to split the yarn, and then we have to increase. In order to increase, I'll just make a knit front and back. So knit into the front of the next stitch and the back of the next stitch. So we have 2 stitches, there is 1 increase. Now knit to 1 stitch before, or 2 stitches before, sorry, stitch. So I've already knit that stitch and I'm in the front, so I'll knit in the back, and that will be my increase. So 1 stitch before the needle. Let me do that again for the other side. So again, pull this top needle in, and by now the tail is secure. We will leave it, pull the bottom needle out, and the top needle will go in easier. And now take your working yarn and start to increase. So knit the first stitch and knit front and back the second stitch. And then knit to 2 stitches before the needle, before the end, in which I'm here. Knit front and knit back, and then knit 1. So this is my first increase round complete, and now I'll need to put like a split ring marker or a progress keeper in order to tell me the beginning of my round. So I'll just put that in here and I'll keep knitting under that strand. So again, turn 180 degree, pull the top needle in, pull the bottom needle out, and next round is going to be all knit. So you increase one round and you increase in one round and then you knit simply in the next round. So be sure to make it tight, otherwise there'll be a gap on the sides of the toe. So now that we have done the simple round, we will go ahead and do the increase round once more. So turn, pull the top in, pull the bottom out, and make sure your first stitches are knit tightly in order to avoid any ladders. So now increasing, tight, knit one, then knit front and back, knit two stitches before the needle, before the end, knit front and back, knit one, and do this for the other needle as well. So pull top in, first turn 180 to pull the top needle in and pull the bottom needle out. And start this side, knit the first stitch a bit tight, knit front and back into the next stitch, knit two stitches before the end, knit front and back, and knit the last stitch. And now turn again, and now I'll be doing my knit all around. So continue this 4 more times and I'll be back. So I'm on to my last increase round now. Starting that increase round, knit one, knit front and back in the next stitch, knit two stitches before the needle ends, before the end. On the first needle, knit front and back, and then knit one. And now again the same drill. I've gone ahead and changed to a longer cord because that one was too small, like I had suggested in the beginning of the video. At least a 24-inch to a 32-inch cord would be great. I'm working with worsted weight yarn here. Again, the second needle, knit one, knit front and back in the next stitch, knit two stitches before the end on this needle, and then knit front and back, knit one, and then again the same drill, knit one round even. And at this point we will be ready to take the gauge for calculating the number of stitches that we will need for our measurement. And for There are 2 left. All right, so just pull the needles to one side and lay this flat, and this should give us a good idea of where we are in terms of number of stitches to an inch. Since this is worsted weight, it's easier for taking the gauge on an inch, but in case of a sport weight or a thinner yarn, we could do at least 5 to 6 more increases and take the gauge over 2 inches. So here I have my ruler and I'm going to count how many stitches I have in 1 inch to in the center of the socks. All right, so counting the number of stitches here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 4.5 stitches to an inch, and that is my gauge. As per my gauge, I have 4.5 stitches to an inch, and for calculating the number of stitches that I would need to increase to, I have 8.5 stitches circumference around the ball of my foot, and I need a 1 inch negative ease. That will make this 7.5 inches. So in the total number of stitches would be 7.5 into 4.5, and 7.5 times 4.5, that gives me 36 stitches approximately. So like if you don't get a complete number, a whole number, you can round it off to the nearest whole number, and also make sure that it is divisible by 4 because we are making 4 increases, so it will be easier to calculate how many increases we need, and that brings me to the number 36. Now in order to do the same calculation for around my calf muscle, I had 10.75 inches minus 1 negative ease. That will give me 9.75 inches into the 4.5 inch stitch gauge, the 4.5 stitch gauge, and that gives me approximately 44 stitches, which is also divisible by 4. And go ahead and make those calculations and alternate the rounds, like 1 increase and 1 simple knit, till you have the number of stitches that you need for your toe. In my case, I need 36 total. That means 18 stitches on each needle. So let me count: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I need 1 more increase round and 1 more knit round. And after that, since my toe height was 2 inches, I will make rounds. I will knit around simply for however many rows. That will take me to the total 2 inches, and I will write those down. Now I have 18 stitches each on my front and back needle, and I'm going to see how far I am for the toe height. And I have my ruler here. You can get your sock rulers also for this step. So just put that in and see, and I have half an inch more to go, so that will give me around 3 to 4 rounds to knit even. And so I'll do that, and I'll knit 5 more inches as per my calculations, which will be even, right? 5 more inches, and then I'll come back to place the waist yarn. After reaching my 7 inches of even knitting, continuous in the round, I have to place my waist yarn. The waist yarn should be the same weight or similar comparable weight to the one that you're using for your socks, and it should be of smooth texture, and no hair or plies should come off, so that it doesn't get tangled while you are placing it in the socks, and it'll be easier for you to remove it. So I've done my 7 inches, as you can see here. I have done my 7 inches of socks straight knitting here from the toe, which includes 5 inches of the foot and 2 inches of the toe area. I had made 4 extra rows for rounds for the making it to be able to make the toe area 2 inches, so I needed 4 extra rounds knit evenly continuously. Next I'm going to place the waist yarn. The waist yarn comes at the back of the sock, so at this point there is no front or back, both are similar, so I can start placing my waist yarn anywhere. It can be at the beginning of the round over here where I've placed my progress keeper, or it can be on this side once I'm done with the first needle of stitches. So I will begin placing my yarn, and that is very simple. You just knit with the new yarn. So I'll make a loop and I'll hold my needle like this as if to knit. I'll place the loop with the short end towards me. That's the loop and the short end will be towards me. And I knit, and then I overlap the short end over the long end which of the waist yarn, and I start knitting to the end of the needle. So once I'm done with that, let me use continental style of knitting so you will be able to see the stitches. So I will finish this round, half of this round. So I'll keep knitting to the end of the round with my new yarn. And once that is done, I will turn around and start purling to the end of the round. So that will give me one round of these stitches. So I'll start purling now. This is the English style, and let me move to the continental. So now that is done, I keep doing the purling to the beginning where I had started placing the waist yarn. Done. And now I'll tuck both of these ends inside the socks. These two waist yarn ends, I will tuck them inside the socks so I can keep knitting around as usual with my original yarn. So now the first stitch might be a bit loose, and that is fine. We can, as it is, we have to place it on the needles later. So we'll start knitting, and we will again completely knit in the round, and my calculations for that were about, since I needed a 1.5 inch cuff, I would have total 7 inches I needed. 1.5 I subtract from that, I get 4.5, no, 5.5, and after that, from the 5.5, my 2 inches of heel need to come out as well, because the heel is 2 inches this end and 2 inches that end. So 2 inches need to come out, so that will be 3.5 inches. So now I'm going to just knit around as usual with my original yarn for 3.5 inches. At one point, while making the 3.5 inch foot, remember I had to increase the number of stitches for my leg. So at behind on the back, I'm going to increase for the calf muscle, and I had calculated these to be 44 stitches because I was going from 8.5 minus 7 minus 1 equal to 7.5 to a 10.75 minus 1 equal to 9.75 inches. So I did 9.75 into times the 4.5 stitches per inch gauge, and I got approximately 44 stitches, and I made sure it was divisible by 4. So in order to increase, what I need to do is, on the side where I have the waste yarn, I need to divide the stitches into half. So I'll count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 stitches. So 9 on this side and 9 on the other side. And I'm going to place my marker at the after the 9th stitch. And once I do that, so this is the round, this is the first round, and I'm going to place the marker, but I'm also going to increase because I've already knit even for so many rounds. And as per my first sock, I was supposed to increase right about at this point. So I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to just take one of my round stitch markers and I'm going to start knitting and counting. So at the point where my stitch marker would be, the first stitch on either side of the stitch marker would be knit as is, and the increases would be done on either side of those. So that means before the 8th stitch I will be doing an increase. So I start knitting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches done. I do my increase, and the increase would be make one right. For that I just pull up the yarn. Let me show you. So this is my yarn from the previous round. So I just pick that up, and the stitch from the previous round, I pick that up, use my thumb to separate, and put that on the needle and knit into it. So that's my right leaning increase. I knit the 8th stitch, and then after the 9th stitch I had to place a marker. So I knit one more stitch, place my marker, knit one more, and then increase a left leaning increase. For the left leaning increase, instead of putting my needle in this stitch, I will be putting my needle in this stitch. So I just pick up that stitch with my left needle and knit into the back, and that's my make one left increase, and I keep knitting around, and that's how I increase for the calf. So from 36 to 44 I need 8 stitches, and for 8 stitches I need divided by 2, 4 increase points. So 4 increases. So here if I look, I have 2, 4. So one on either side, once, and then twice, and then thrice, and then 4th time. So now what I'm going to do is knit 2 rounds even, then increase again, 2 rounds even, increase again, and I'll do that 3 more times, and that means I will have my 4 increase rounds. And after that I'll make sure I have 3.5 inches for my leg as we had calculated here. So I'll have 3.5 inches till this point, and then I will switch to smaller needles and knit the cuff. So I'll keep knitting 2 rounds and increase, knit 2 rounds, increase, 2 2, knit 2 rounds, increase 2, and I'll do that 3 more times, and I'll be back once I'm done with all the increases and the 3.5 inches are reached. So now I have completed my 3.5 inches from the waist yarn to the just under the cuff, and I'm going to measure it now, and it's exactly till under the just under the needle. It's 3.5 inches. So I'm done here, and now I'm gonna just move. Since I'm using interchangeable needles, it's easier. I'll just move to number 6 needle, US 6 4.5 millimeter needle, and this is the beginning of my rounds, and I'm going to do rib, one knit, one purl, one knit, one purl to the end for 1.5 inches, so this much. So that's my rib that I need to do here, and then I come back and do a stretchy bind off. I'm on the last few stitches of the cuff, and after that I'm going to do the stretchy bind off. So here I go with the last few stitches. I'm doing my 1 by 1 rib, and I have done it for 1.5 inches. So that is done, and I'm pulling out the cable, turning, pulling out the back needle, putting in the front needle, and from here on I'm going to begin my stretchy bind off. For that, and as a reminder, this is a 1 size smaller needle, and I made a mistake earlier. The size US 6 is a 4 millimeter needle, and the US 7 is a 4.5 millimeter needle. So I'm going to go ahead and do the stretchy bind off, and for that I knit my first stitch, yarn over, and purl my next stitch, because I'm binding it off in rib, and I'm taking the yarn over and the first knit stitch over the just purl stitch. Now from here I need to do another yarn over, but instead of doing this way, I'm going to do it this way, and then I'm going to do my knit stitch, and I'm going to take this yarn over and the purl stitch over my just knit stitch, and I'll keep doing that to the end of the round. And so I'm on the last stitch for the bind off now, doing my yarn over. Okay, let's do this. And my next stitch is a purl, so I'll do the usual yarn over and purl my stitch, and then pass the yarn over and the previous stitch over that last stitch, and I'm done. So what I'll do is I'll pull this yarn out a bit, and then with my snips I'm just going to move everything out of the way. With my snips I'm going to leave around a 6-inch tail and snip it off. So in order to finish this, I need to weave in this end, and here is how I do it. I'll just take out a needle. A tapestry needle would be great, so I'll just take one tapestry needle and show you how I do this. So I'll just pull this yarn out completely from this loop and do away with my progress keeper because I don't need it now, and thread my tapestry needle now. So once I'm done that, if you see, take off all distractions. So there are V's at the edge. Every stitch that I have bound off, there are V's. You see that? that's a V, that's a V, there's a V here. So I'm going to take the yarn from here and put it through the last V that I see on the needle, like that. And then I'm going to draw it through, and I'm going to put it back from where the yarn was coming out, and I'm going to put it back through inside and to the back. So that's, I've completed my V with my needle, and now I'm going to weave in these ends. And in order to do that, I'm going to pull this a bit firm but not extremely tight. Don't want a jog there. I'm going to make one little, secure the yarn with one little knot, and then I'm going to weave it in through these bumps that I see. Okay, and I come down all the way to the cuff, and now I'm going to weave it in through these. You see that bump? I'm going to weave it in through that. And once I'm done that, around 5 to 6 stitches, I'm going to turn and start weaving it the other way. So I'm going to take stitches from the top and the bottom round alternately, and don't pull it tight. You need to stretch it, and that should secure the thread, the yarn. And now I'm going to simply snip the waist off, leaving like a 1/2 inch to 1 inch in the inside. And that's it. So that's my completed socks with the foot and the cuff, and I have the waist yarn in. And then the next step now is to pick up the heel stitches over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at one end in the beginning. If you see, this is my waist yarn. I'm going to pick up stitches in this round, the red round here. I'm going to pick up stitches here, and I'm going to pick up only one stitch of the V, so one leg of the V. So there's the left leg and the right leg. Either I pick up all the left legs or I pick up all the right legs. So I'm going to start picking up only the right legs and being sure I'm not picking up any other strands, and I keep picking up the right legs throughout. Right, so I'm pulling the needle through now just to mimic the loop that I make while I'm knitting, and then I'll start picking up stitches here. So I'm just gonna turn it like 360 degrees, and I'm gonna start picking up this yellow round because that is my set of stitches now. So 1, 2, 3, 17 and 18, and when we pick up the stitches we will have one extra here, that will be 19. Alright, so that's how I pick up my stitches. one upper and lower, and now I'm just gonna take this off. So I'll just pull the waist yarn through all the stitches now. Go through one round and then go through the other, and it'll be hard for the first round, but it'll get better on the next one since it's such a long yarn. I can try picking it out on the other side as well because that was a shorter end. So I'm using my tapestry needle for that, and yeah, that's a shorter end, so it'll be easier to pick it off. Just gonna pick it off slowly. And so I have completed pulling out the thread from one side, and I'm just gonna pull it out from this end now, and it unravels very easily, and we are done taking off the waist yarn. I'm just seeing if I'm missing a stitch. Oh yes, not really, that was just a twist in the yarn. And yep, so in order to begin knitting the heel, we're gonna start from this end and start doing it in the round. So handy progress keeper comes back in, and I'm going to hook it to the side that I'm going to begin my knitting with. Hook it to the side here. Oh man. Right? So that's my beginning of round. And now I'm going to start knitting with my original yarn. So I'm just going to make a loop like this, inverted U, and pull out this upper needle, but not entirely, just leaving a loop here. As I said before, we're doing the magic loop method. I get rid of the needle. Alright, so this here becomes one loop, here becomes another loop, and that's how I'm knitting in the round. Now what we need to do is remember how many rounds we knit even to make our 2 inches for the toe, and for me it was 4 rounds. So from here I'm going to knit 4 rounds even, and I don't need another marker because this loop here is serving as the second side marker. So 18 stitches here and 18 stitches here. And now I'm going to begin. In order to close the gap here on this end and in this end, we are going to use a certain technique of picking up stitches. So I'll see which portion of this is loose. So I'll pick up one stitch here and put it through my, okay, let's begin from this end and not that end. So this gap I need to fix, and I'm going to knit it with this stitch on the needle. So I'm going to put my needle through this gap here, put my needle through here, and then I'm going to take this inverted U and put it over my needle as if to knit, and knit that stitch and take off this extra loop that I had taken over, and that's how I close that gap on that end. So that's 1, 2, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, same drill. Pull the cord, turn, put this needle in, and being sure using the same gap. And this yarn tail we can tuck inside. We'll weave it in later. And pull this needle out a bit, not all the way. You can put your finger in there to avoid the cord getting in. So there's a gap here now. In order to close that one, again I'm going to do the same thing. Pick up this, and knit through it. One, two, 17, 18, and remember we had one extra stitch here, so we are going to knit two together, right? So now again the same drill. Pull the cord, turn, pull this needle out and this needle in, if you have a longer cord that will be very helpful. I don't have it, so I'm gonna work with this. So next, keep knitting. So one round is done and I'm going to get a gap here. So in order to avoid that gap, I'm going to pick up this part where the progress keeper is, and I'm going to put it on the left needle and maybe take off the progress keeper for now. And then I'm going to knit it as if it were one stitch. Right? So my gap is closed somewhat. And then keep knitting. And now I have the right number of stitches. I'll keep knitting around for 3 more rounds. This is my second round. I'll knit a third and a fourth, and then I'll start my decreases. I'll be back. I'm done knitting my 4 rounds, and now I have to start the decreases. For that, I will knit to the end of the round on this 4th one, because my progress keeper is on this side. So I'm going to knit till there. At this point I have only a few stitches remaining of the last round that I had to knit even, and I'm back to my progress keeper here. So now I have to start my decreases, and I will pull the cord and put this front needle in, pull the back needle out a bit, leaving like a bit of cord on either end so that I don't lose my place for the center or the side markers. And now I'm going to do this. For every other round, I'm going to knit 1, slip, slip, and knit the next stitch. Knit to 2 stitches 3 stitches before before the end of this needle. And knit 2 together. And knit 1. So that's one needle. Do the same for the other needle. So again we have to move the cord out this end, and move this back needle out a bit, and it'll be easier for you if you use one long cord instead of the short one that I'm using. At least a 32 inch or a 40 inch should be good. So knit one, slip, slip, knit. I do it this way. I slip one stitch as if to knit, insert my right needle into the next stitch, insert my left needle into the previous stitch I just knit, and then knit these two together. That gives me a better slip, slip, knit. And then knit to 3 stitches before the end. I keep knitting here, keep knitting to 3 stitches before the end, and this time it will be the end of the round since my progress keeper is here, and then knit 2 together, knit 1, and now the next round will be knit all around even. So no decreases in the next round, knit all around. And I'm going to alternate these 2 rounds and keep decreasing 4 stitches, which is 1 stitch here, 1 stitch here, and 1 stitch each over here in these 2 points, these 2 points and these 2 points. And then I'll keep decreasing that every other round, and until I have 6 stitches on each needle, and that should give me the 12 stitches that I had begun the toe with. Done. So once again repeating, 1 round decrease and 1 round knit even, 1 round decrease, 1 round knit even. Keep repeating these 2 rounds until you have 6 stitches on each needle for a total of 12 stitches, and then we are going to do the Kitchener stitch. At this point I have made all the decreases to 6 stitches, and I'm on the last lap of my last round. So this still has 8. This needle still has 8 stitches, and I'm going to just do the decreases one last time. So 1 knit, slip, slip, knit my way, knit to 3 stitches before the needle ends, and knit 2 together, knit 1. And here at this stage we are not going to do the last knit round, because now we are going to do the Kitchener stitch, and that will accommodate for the last knit round, because Kitchener stitch is actually doing the knit round with your tapestry needle. So in order to estimate the yarn that we will require, we're going to take this yarn and take it around the remainder stitches once. I'm going to put all the stitches on the needles right now. That makes it easier. So 1, 2, and 3, and do it loosely, not tightly, and then leave around 4 more inches and snip it off. And that should be the amount of yarn that is required for the Kitchener stitch. So now we're going to go ahead and do our Kitchener, and for that I'm going to turn the socks this way. My yarn will be coming now. If I unwind this yarn that I had for estimation, I need to see where the yarn is coming from. So yarn needs to be coming back from the back needle. If it is not, just turn around and see, it should be coming in from the back needle. Now we're going to thread it into our handy tapestry needle. So do it this way, and this is how we do Kitchener stitch. In the first stitch, the yarn is coming from the back. Insert your tapestry needle in the first stitch on the first needle knitwise and pull it off, right? And pull it a bit tight and put this needle back into the next stitch purl wise, but don't take it off. Next, put the needle purl wise into the back needle, first stitch of the back needle, take it off, and then put it knitwise into the next stitch, but don't pull that stitch off, and tug on it a bit so it becomes tight. So initially the gap that comes, you don't get like a pointy place here, so just tug on it a bit and keep repeating that. So knitwise, take it off, purl wise, don't take it off on the front needle, right? And tug it, purl wise, take it off, knitwise, don't take it off on the back needle, tug on it, and see it's a more rounded Kitchener. It's more rounded here and it's not so pointy, so keep doing that. Now the yarn is coming from the back again. Knitwise, take it off, knitwise, take it off, purl wise, don't take it off on the front needle, tug, purl wise, take it off, knitwise, don't take it off on the back needle, and tug on it. So if you tug properly, it's all going to be one nice it will look like stitching, right? So I'll keep doing that to the end, and I don't need the progress keeper anymore, so I'm going to take it off. All right, yarn is coming from the back, so knit one, take it off, purl one, don't take it off, in the front needle, then back needle, purl one, take it off, knit, don't take it off, again knit, oops, take care that the back needle stitches remain on the back needle. All right, so front needle, knit, take it off, purl, don't take it off, and tug. Keep tugging, don't stop tugging, because then you will get a neat edge here. Let it focus, and that's it, right? And then the last stitch, second last stitch, purl, take it off, knit, don't take it off on the back needle, tug, and then the last one is knit, take it off, and purl, take it off. So tug on it a bit, and the end you might get like a, see that stitch is going off a bit. So to avoid that, I'm going to put my hand in over here, stretch this a bit, tug on my yarn, and put it back through from, let's do that again, properly focus. So this pointy thing is coming off, so tug on this yarn and put it back through from behind there to the inside of the socks. So I'm putting it back through here, not the same spot because then it will just unravel. Just put it back through to the inside and tug. And now if you see, it's all smooth and nice and neat. So that's my Kitchener. I just need to weave in my ends now. So I'm going to turn my socks inside out. So here's my heel, and I have to weave in this end. So in order to do that, I will make like a knot in one place to secure my yarn, tug on it, and then start weaving it in on the diagonal, and catch those pearl bumps on the diagonal and weave the yarn in going one direction. Catch those pearl bumps, weave it in diagonally in one direction on a few stitches. I've taken about 7 stitches here, and then I pull the yarn through, stretch it a bit so it doesn't get tight, and then do the same thing going the exact opposite direction in a different set of stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll do some more there, 5, 6, right? And then stretch it a bit so that there's enough room when you put in your heel. Do this once more, going back this way. Or if you see a gap here, you can use the same yarn. This end doesn't have a gap, this end does, so I'll use the same yarn to come here and then close this gap with the number of stitches. So I'll just come on the diagonal at this end, catch a few pearl bumps, so I'm going slowly and I'm stretching so I don't pull my yarn tightly. So I keep going till I reach that gap area, catching some of the stitches, and here I am at the gap, and I'm going to try and close it now. And first stretch your thread, and now pick up those pearl bumps around the hole. 1, 2, 3, and 4, all around that hole, and pull it a bit. Now go around once more, and that, see, if you see now that hole is closed completely. Now I'll secure my yarn here so it becomes tight and doesn't open again. So I'll just make a small knot once, and maybe a square knot so it doesn't come off at all, twice, and now I'll weave this end on the diagonal going up on the leg. Keep catching some pearl bumps on the diagonal, go up on the leg. Stretch this a bit to give it room to stretch when you're wearing it, and then take this back down in a different set of stitches on the diagonal. And take it off, take the needle off, stretch, and then snip this off, leaving about 1 inch, half to 1 inch, and we are done on this end. Then there is one thread at this end where we had joined for the heel, and I'm going to check again if I have a hole there, and I don't, so I should be good here. So I just need to weave it in. I'm going to do the same drill. Go ahead and thread my needle, and then take this on the diagonal one direction, and then the other direction on a different set of stitches. And now, since the yarn tail is so small, the trick is put your needle through where you want it and then thread it. So I'm threading it now and take it through that and pull it tight and secure. That's one knot, and then do it this way. Take the back of the needle through that again. It's a bit tricky here because it's so tiny. Catching it with my nail, but it's gone in, so I'll just take off that, put my needle through where it needs to be, and then thread it. And now I can pull it and tug on it and it's secure. There's a square knot there. Now again I'll leave just like a 1/2 inch to 1 inch and snip that off. So that's done. And the last tail is here where we had started our toe. So I'm going to put my hand in again and stretch this a bit. Alright, so put my hand inside again, and this is the last tail that I need to weave in. So I'll be quick about it again. Go on the diagonal on one, or maybe secure it once with a knot. If you're using pure wool, you don't need to put the knot because the wool will felt. Or even if you're using superwash, you are good without the knot. But this is acrylic yarn, so I'll have to put in a knot, otherwise it's going to come off in the next wash. So I just keep going up diagonally, catching a few pearl bumps, and pull my yarn, stretch it a bit. And now, since the yarn tail is so small, I'm going to put my needle through a few stitches on the opposite direction, different set of stitches. I think that should be enough, and then thread my needle. And now pull it through this end. Don't pull it tightly. Stretch it as much as you can to give it room. And we are done. Just snip off the end. Let me turn this inside out. Do the same for the other foot and you should be done with your socks. So if you see, there's our finished socks. All that needs to be done is block it. Since this is acrylic yarn, I'm good steaming it. Look at that beautiful heel. That's our afterthought heel, right? And that's the full sock. You can put it this way too if you want it flat, and fold it like that. Some people fold it like that. And that's my one leg. That's the other leg. And I'm done with my pair. Awesome. And now I just need to keep all my stuff inside and steam this so that it's ready for wearing. So I'll be back when my iron is hot enough for steaming. In order to steam, I'll just place my hot iron a little above the sock let the steam go in, maybe blast a few times, and then pat it so that all the heat goes in. Do the same on the other side. And never touch acrylic yarn with hot iron, because you know what, it's going to melt. So just pat it gently, and it's nice and finished to wear. Perfect. So that's it for this tutorial. I'll be back with another tutorial very soon. You can find me on Ravelry as Krityum, Krityum. You can also find me on other social media sites, and all that information would be in the description box below. If you like this video and you want to see future videos for tutorials on knitting, crochet or sewing, kindly give me a thumbs up on this video, and also like and subscribe to my channel so that you will get notified when I post new videos. Thank you so much.